WrestleMania 37 is this week, and amazingly, some people have no idea. And I get that sounds a bit weird. I don't mean like your mum, unless your mum's well into sports entertainment, but usually around this period, you get this excitement and this buzz that gets lap fans to buy back in, and those who dip their toe in and dip their toe out decide to dip their toe in again. But in 2021, it kind of seems missing. I remember a time when all pay-per-views felt that way, but that was likely because I was a stupid, moronic kid. But the magic of WrestleMania never dies, and even when I was a grown adult with a bald head, when I knew the granddaddy of them all was just around the corner, I couldn't help but get all hyped up. I mean, I always just found a way to capture this feeling and then spray it around the place, which now I've said it out loud sounds absolutely terrible. But if you were going to come to me and say, Simon, I don't think the WrestleMania build's been very good, or turn that into, I think this is the worst WrestleMania build ever, well, I would absolutely see where you're coming from. Why? Here's why. The real issue is just how lackadaisical everything feels. Take Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. Now, am I very excited to see that match when these two guys are in the ring? You bet your ass. But when it comes to the build, well, I can take it or leave it. It's the fact that I know they're gonna tear it up regardless that gets me going deep down in my loins, and that's the same for Sheamus versus Riddle, it's the same with Rhea Ripley versus Asuka, it's the same for AJ Styles and Omos taking on the New Day. Now, I will concede a little bit on that one, because I seem to have been the only person on the planet that enjoyed their daft game night. But that's just wrestling for you, you never know what you're actually gonna like. So yeah, they will absolutely hit a home run when WrestleMania does come around, but when you delve into everything beforehand, there's just not much meat on them bones. Especially when it comes to Drew versus Bob, they would definitely have benefited from a little bit more time. Which brings us on to problem number 2, which is WWE Fastlane. Now I get it, I understand, I can be a businessman, that was me putting on my businessman hat. WWE doesn't want to trial a pay-per-view on Peacock that's called WrestleMania, where they can just make up another one and do their tests there. But my word, did it not help. Because if you do have that in the way, WWE then has to focus on that, meaning WrestleMania for a little while was in priority position number 2. And you never put WrestleMania in priority position number 2. And we still got some good from it, like Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus was kick-ass, and I enjoyed everything with the Universal Championship, but it just meant that we had to take our eye off the prize, and it did not work. I'm not saying that doesn't make sense, it absolutely does, but the come away from this should be, well, let's not have a pay-per-view 3 weeks before WrestleMania. There's more to all of this as well. For example, everything between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Now, once more, yes, broken record, this is going to rock because there's simply no way that it can't. Sasha Banks is too good and Bianca Belair is too good, so when you push them together, you should just end up with a pie of goodness. But what has been all this craziness with the tag team titles and Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax and Reginald? And look, I really like Reginald. I am happy that he's part of the SmackDown roster. But why the hell didn't we just go, well, Banks is the best and Belair is the best? I mean, it ties into her old gimmick. The title's on the line. Who the hell's gonna win? Let's make it serious. I don't need to see them losing over and over again and then getting upset about some guy that flips around the place. I mean, who is that even for? And we move forward with this too, because next up is Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge. And look, this has been absolutely tremendous, mostly because we now have 3 psychopaths who I do truly believe want to kill each other. But it also has been all over the place. Like before this decision was made, Daniel Bryan was losing on TV all the time, which didn't really justify his position in the WrestleMania main event. And Vince McMahon keeps going, well, I'll change this now and I'll change that now. I mean, at one point I thought Edge was too old, then Edge became a bad guy. It is just all so confusing. I mean, there was even some worries apparently, well, we better put DB in there because Roman Reigns may get cheered. And if you do not understand the irony of the sentence that just came out of my mouth, well, you're probably lucky because you probably missed WWE from 2016 to 2019. And once more, Edge becoming the rated R superstar again has been terrific. I think it's actually helped his character, but you could see the strings being pulled in front of your eyes. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could have done Edge versus Roman and it would have been fine, but it's these last minute choices which also result in the likes of the Hurt Business being broken up, and everybody is on the same page with that one. Even Dave Bautista tweeted out, "What are you doing, World Wrestling Entertainment? Why are you breaking up the Hurt Business?" That's not to say I haven't bought in, which I guess is a caveat to all of this, because I don't really think I can lose no matter who wins. If Roman Reigns walks away with the championship, awesome, he's still my tribal chief. If Edge wins it, his story has a perfect ending. Daniel Bryan is Daniel Bryan. I only want good things for that man, For some reason, I'm gonna love him forever. The counterpoint to that, though, is that main events usually can get away with this kind of stuff, which is not true for Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. And do not forget, the whole reason for this match is Brains, Shane McMahon, versus Braun, because he's called Braun Strowman, and Braun is also a word. Ow. And also, what else has happened on TV? Shano has come out and said, Braun, you're stupid, and Braun has replied, no, I'm not. Well, no, he doesn't do that. He goes, no! But there's nothing to buy into here. There's nothing to sink your teeth into. It is literally one man saying to somebody else, you are dumb. And I'd be a little disappointed that if we were doing it on a B pay-per-view, so I'm doubly disappointed given that it's WrestleMania. To ensure that we do bring balance to the force, though, this oddly does mean when you get to Randy Orton versus The Fiend, well, I think this deserves as many thumbs up as you can possibly give it. And this announcement could come at any time, so you may know before but I do not believe it's going to be a singles match, and I think WWE will reveal a stipulation at some point. But no matter what they've done, this has been given time, this has been going on for months, this has incorporated other characters like Alexa Bliss. I mean, that's what pro wrestling's all about. It doesn't matter that I don't like it, who gives a shib what this bored a-hole thinks, but also things you see on TV can't be 100% tailored and catered for you, because that wouldn't work. So I do appreciate that WWE came up with a plan, they came up with a direction, and at the moment, we're gonna see it all the way through, and it culminates at the Showcase of the Immortals. Once again, that has been WWE's playbook since year dot. You also have these other matches that are somewhat in the middle, but because you know they're going to be bangers too, you kind of ignore the rest. Take, for example, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Even if you only know their WWE history, you must be going, oh, I can't wait. And if you knew what they did outside of World Wrestling Entertainment, you should be sweating buckets of joy. But if we are going to talk about it from an April 2021 context and explain to somebody else what the story is, it's just, well, that guy doesn't like the other guy's documentary, and because of that, they rang Logan Paul. You can double up for this when it comes to Seth Rollins versus Cesaro too. I think they're going to have an absolute spectacle at the show of shows. Once more, let's break it down. That guy, the Swiss dude, he likes to swing the long-haired guy, and the long-haired guy doesn't enjoy being swung, so now he wears these really weird but really cool suits, and they're gonna have a fight. There's also the Nigerian drum fight, but once more, I don't even know what that is. I just want Big E and Apollo Crews to smash it on the biggest stage possible. And I guess smash each other with drums? Once again, I don't know what it is. The Miz, John Morrison, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest are falling out over cars and arguing about DJs that may or may not have been punched in the face. And when it comes to the women's tag team division, well, I'm happy to hold my hands up and just go, that's been super lame. I mean, everybody involved in this deserves so much more respect, especially when you turn up to Raw and you get told, we'll make one line here and make one line here, and now yell at each other. I mean, come on. The final kick in the shin too is the fact that the likes of Charlotte Flair and Bayley don't even have a place on the WrestleMania card, and I get they could be added last minute or maybe even put into that tag match, but this ties into the other thing, as Kurt Angle himself said on his podcast. When he was doing it back in the day, the latest WrestleMania would be sorted was late December, and now here we are mere days before the event, and I'm pretty sure they're trying to figure it all out. And hey, look, I think the show itself's going to be excellent, so that asks a whole new bunch of questions when it comes to the build, and maybe simply it comes down to the fact that WWE just doesn't care about pay-per-views anymore because they're a content creator. I mean, their goal is to increase Peacock subscribers, but even if they do that, WWE doesn't get any more money. They've already been paid their bills, they're getting $200 million a year or whatever it is, so their sole purpose is to make wrestling. And as we know from WrestleMania week, they're very good at making a lot of wrestling. But the money is already in their pockets, and when you don't have to worry about that, maybe when it comes to the writing, you are just a little bit more lazy than you would have been otherwise. It also means they could be more concerned about TV than these big shows, because they need a new TV deal at some point. That's where your focus could be. And that's not to say that any of this isn't fun. I truly do enjoy sharing it with you. But aren't I stood here right now, quaking in my boots because I know I'm days away from WrestleMania 37? No, I'm not. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to be entertained, but I'd like to be entertained right now, because I am an expectant, annoyed wrestling fan. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this, and then like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this. Follow What Culture on social media to stay up to date with all the wrestling news, and you're already on YouTube. Why not watch another video? My name is Simon from What Culture. I do truly hope that you are enjoying the WrestleMania build, but it's always good to spark debate, and I will definitely see you throughout this week. There is just so much to do.